Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Aoife Keane. I'm the Customer Marketing Specialist here at VisibleThread. This is our first training webinar of 2024 and we have a very exciting one in store for you. I'm joined by VP of Customer Success, Kyle Peterson. Kyle will be taking you through how to use dictionaries in VT Docs 6.0. This session is being recorded, so both the slides and the recordings will be emailed out after the webinar. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to ask us any questions in the Ask Question box and do engage with us on the attendee chat. We will get back to any questions at the end. Before we begin today's webinar, I want to bring your attention to an incredible event we will be hosting at the end of February. Optimize 24 AI is a virtual event where the future of proposal management meets the power of artificial intelligence. This is the fourth installment in our acclaimed Optimize series and promises to be a groundbreaking convergence of industry leaders and AI pioneers. This event will feature a lineup of esteemed leaders and innovators in AI, offering their insights and perspectives on how artificial intelligence is reshaping our industry. So our aim with this event is to demystify AI, providing clear industry-leading viewpoints on its application and potential. Attendees will also get an exclusive look at VisibleThread's AI roadmap and upcoming releases poised to revolutionize your processes and enhance your output. So if you're interested in this event, you can click the link on the webinar console below and to register today. Another great resource we released last quarter is the Optimize podcast. This podcast is where the world of government contracting comes alive. This series of episodes is hosted by Ton Wilson, President of Intellect, and this special edition episode looks back at last year's riveting themes and conversations about and its journey through the most impactful discussions from previous episodes. It highlights key insights in business success. You can find episodes highlighting key insights on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all other major podcast platforms. And last but not least, we have VT University. For those that may not be aware of this great resource, it is our free online learning platform with courses that provide you with step-by-step guidance to master our solution in no time. So for all of these events and resources I've just mentioned, you will be able to access these on the Related Free Content tab on the webinar console. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Kyle Peterson and we will go through some poll questions to kick it all off. You'll be able to click the slides on the screen to submit your answer.
Awesome. Thanks, Aoife. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for your time, as always. Let's dive in. So to Aoife's point, and for those who have attended these webinars before, first of all, thank you. For those who haven't, we just ask some starter poll questions. This helps me understand who's in the room, what your current experience or lack thereof with search dictionaries has been to date. So if you could you can click directly on the screen. You can click yes or no. Has anyone in the room used a search dictionary within VT Docs before? And this could be just using it to shred a document. It could be creating one, editing one. If you've touched one, I want you to click yes. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, you can click no. Perfect. Thank you. So I think we're about kind of halfway there, Aoife. So I say we go to the next slide there. So about just 60-40. Good. Happy to see, though, there's lots of dictionary users in the room. And then for those who are brand new, I'll make you as dangerous as I can, as quickly as I can. Good stuff. Okay, so kind of follow-up question. So, and this is not necessarily pertaining to dictionaries, but just in general, when we're looking at complex documentation, RFPs, contracts, statements of work, performance work statements, proposal drafts, what are we looking for? Control finding for, skimming. What keeps us up at night? Are we looking for requirements type language? Will statements, must statements, shall statements? Are we looking for maybe keywords or phrases that speak to solutions and deliverables? More specifics, systems engineering, repair, maintenance, overhaul, design. Or are we thinking risk and compliance? That's always a broad topic. So bear with me there. But things, security classification, cyber, export, citizenship requirements, anything that we think might get us in trouble or requires review by legal, contracts, corporate risk groups, things like that. Insurance is a great example, payroll, overtime. So, and this can be one or all. I'm not a black and white guy, don't worry. There's room for nuance in the VisibleThread realm. So let's see. Thank you, by the way, for all who have submitted. Good. So I'm happy to see that we have good spread across all three. That's great because dictionaries can speak to all three. And I would even argue this isn't even an exhaustive list, but it's good to start a webinar with. Excellent. I'm a recovering contracts manager, so risk and compliance is always kind of my favorite, but I'm not allowed to have favorites. Cool. I believe this is the last question. Last time I lied and we had 4. But the kind of follow on to this is we just talked about what we're looking for, what we're flagging, what keeps us up at night. Let's take it a step further. For the people that are doing that analysis, who are identifying those keywords, are you also flagging and maybe forwarding on to other people or groups? Like I said, maybe sending something on to contracts, legal, or risk. Maybe sending something over to engineers or our technical SMEs, program management. Is that something that we always do? And sometimes, depends on the effort, or never. I've literally never done that once in my life. And for those who haven't done this, but think, Kyle, that's interesting, you're probably seeing where I'm going with this. We can talk about how we can structure dictionaries accordingly to help you do this. Often, sometimes, never. Perfect. Good. Excellent. Okay, as always, thanks for humoring me. It helps me. Hopefully that helps the group understand that you are seen. There are others like you in the room. And then for those who this is brand new, just helps me understand where I need to fill in a couple gaps. Excellent. So what are we going to talk about here today? 6.0 update has been the most exciting product update I've been a part of here at VisibleThread. And hopefully coming out of today, you share my enthusiasm. We've touched more than just the dictionaries in this update, but today we're laser focused just on dictionaries, really key improvements to the interface. How am I interacting with dictionaries, creating, editing, and deploying them? We're going to talk about some logistical changes, unifying tabs that previously were separate, breaking out dictionaries by type. We're simplifying that dynamic. And then finally, really upgunning the ability to search and pull out certain keywords, getting into wildcards, pattern matching, more powerful, more granular searches. So really, really exciting stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, get us into VisibleThread. I'll talk about these subjects kind of in line. We will have screenshots in the following slides. Everyone on the line will receive the slides. You'll all receive the recording. And then anyone who registered but can't attend, you'll receive that same information as well. So just as I log in and share my screen here, I want to encourage the group, use that Q&A box. I'm going to go through as many as I can at the end. You can also use the chat box or the comment box as well. Aoife and I will monitor both, but love the questions. I think that's probably the more powerful part of these webinars. Okay, so let's get into it. So we should be seeing my instance of VisibleThread here. We see VT Docs 6 up in the top left, all very exciting stuff. I'm in my dictionaries work area here. So this is where we're creating, editing, destroying, managing dictionaries. Now, I have 355. I would love for a user on the line to beat me. People don't have to have 300 dictionaries, but my best user groups have multiple custom dictionaries. And basically, right off the bat, for those who know VisibleThread well, previously we had this distinction between concept and quality dictionaries. We've done away with that. A dictionary is a dictionary. It's a collection of search terms that I care about, and I want to flag and identify wherever they appear in one or more documents. So we have one kind of dictionary pane here, new code of paint. We're seeing statistics. How many dictionaries do I have? How many are being in use? How many are in use? Who's creating and editing them? That was all information that was hard to glean in prior variations. We have more clear kind of hotkeys and shortcuts here. Do I want to create a dictionary right off the bat? Let's do it. Do I want to import a dictionary from a CSV file, Excel? You can do it. Also, exporting dictionaries all at once. If you're in an organization that has multiple workspaces, you can ensure consistent dictionary lists via this kind of mass download, mass upload, and that's that restore feature as well. Final thing, and then I'll actually get us into a couple dictionaries. Don't worry, I promise. Even just showing people, the last time a dictionary was updated or created, where is it being used? We didn't have this visibility, or rather, we didn't provide this visibility in the past. And I can say, okay, this dictionary here is being used in 5 documents or folders, as the case may be. I can click on that, and I could even jet to that document if I wanted to. Why don't we do that? Just so you guys can see that. So I'm now, VisibleThread is taking me straight into my folder structure here, where that document lives, and that dictionary is already applied to this document. I just had to refresh it because of the product update. Cool. So we want to do less clicking, less navigating, less jumping back and forth between these icons. We can avoid it. The other thing to think about here is, okay, great. I'm in this document here, attachment 1. I've applied this contract kickoff document dictionary against the document. These are my search terms. For those who aren't familiar with dictionaries, this is just a good quick crash course. I'm telling VisibleThread, show me website, market, promote web, and web-based. I'm assigning those to the marketing category. You can have multiple categories, multiple search terms. Staffing, they care about personnel, points of contact, security clearance. This is a dictionary. But then let's say, you know what, maybe I want to go back into my dictionary library, make some changes. Here, you can either swap the dictionary or go to it. So I'm going straight back into my dictionary area, and now I'm laser focused on this dictionary. 1-2 clicks. So really, really exciting stuff from just a navigation and interface perspective. Now, before we get into some sweet, like in the weeds dictionary creation, I'm going to run a couple of examples. I want people to see dictionaries in action. This is, of course, important for people that aren't super familiar, but for those who are, hopefully, this is maybe a refresher or a source of inspiration. Oh, I never thought about using a dictionary that way before. So let's dive into a couple of examples here. I'm going to start with one document. This is a terms and conditions set. Like I said, I'm a contracts guy. I can't help myself. I've applied a redlining dictionary. So against this Word doc, I've told VisibleThread to look for anything beginning with indemnities, and I've classified that as a high-risk clause. Time is of the essence. Now, it doesn't appear in the document, but if it did, you would see a 1 there. You can see we are now color coding search terms. We'll come back to that in a minute. Work share type terms, corporate compliance type terms, insurance, additional insured, IP and data rights, looking for things like intellectual property. So as we select these themes, VisibleThread, like I said, is tracking where and how those themes are appearing in the document verbatim, but now we're also color coding. Before, every search term was red. Now my indemnities are red, my insurance statements are yellow. That's perfectly customizable, don't worry. This is actually a brand new interface as well, where before we had a quality tab, kind of quality analysis, and a concept tracking tab up here. It really confused a lot of new users. I totally understand. We've condensed it. ultimately, both of those tabs are just applying a dictionary against one or more documents. So let's get into a shred. So those who are familiar with, the compliance matrix, the responsibility matrix, just kind of basic VT shredding, you still have that capability. I'm going to shred to Excel, and I'm going to click on a category shred. This is all updated as well in 6.0. In the interest of time, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. If people want me to go back to that, feel free to shout in the Q&A. I'm going to show you two quick outputs. I've taken this Word doc, I've provided it, or VisibleThread has provided it to me in Excel. This is your standard shred. But we see those dictionary categories up here in row 4, and we can start to slice and dice the content. I can filter by high risk hits. Any paragraph where indemnity or indemnify is appearing, I get an X there, and it's beautifully red. Any of my paragraphs or clauses where insurance is appearing, I get an X in my corporate compliance category, and it's showing up as, I don't know if that's yellow or orange, to be a tangerine, let's call it. Cool. So it's a thing of beauty. By the way, if people haven't been using their term descriptions in their dictionary, I highly encourage you to do that. That's where you can tie guidance or prescriptive language to a search term. So in this case, I've told VisibleThread, anytime I see an indemnity, I want you to include this guidance. Corporation XYZ, Kyle Peterson Corp. We only accept indemnities that are capped at limit of liability and only offered in the case of damages due to gross negligence, for instance. Totally customizable to your organization. Not only do I want to flag the word, but this allows this tees people up, allows us to take action. And then these categories, when I was referring to flagging certain things to certain functions, we can use dictionary categories to help us do that. Corporate compliance, IP data rights, legal, program management, engineering, the possibilities are endless. Cool. Let me show you one other kind of output, and then we're going to go through a few more dictionaries. So this is a Word doc, terms and conditions. Maybe I'm redlining. You can also download annotated documents where if I want to redline that bad boy, you're going to get the Word doc provided back to you, but we're going to use the comment bubble feature of Word to show us those hits. So I can adjust, I can make changes, I can edit, I can redline, and I'm just scrolling fairly quickly here. And here we go. This is the terms and conditions set verbatim. VisibleThread sees indemnify, it flags it, it's in my high risk category. So the comment is titled high risk, and there's my guidance. And then I can start to, I can make a red line here, for instance, or not. We don't take that agency away from people, but this is a dictionary in action with two kind of key outputs. Let's look at a few more, and I'm going to hustle a little bit here. Let's look at multiple documents at once. Previously, you would do this in concept tracking. We've brought this into our dictionary search area. In this folder, I have 3 just purchase orders and purchase order quality requirements, 3 PDFs. You could have 30 purchase orders in this folder if you wanted to. Here they are lined up side by side, and I'm applying more of a compliance review against them. Show me anything beginning with NIST, show me security. And we're seeing, does it appear in this purchase order? It doesn't. No hits. We see NIST and security hits twice in these 2 purchase orders. And then as we get into quality type requirements, for those of my audience members that are in manufacturing, for instance, I come from the aerospace world, looking for first article inspection. Show me where that appears in purchase orders. And in this case, I'm color coding again. Show me anything beginning with capital AS followed by 4 digits. Getting into quality certifications, AS 9100 for those who are in the biz. AS, not, yep, there we go, right there. So we can use dictionaries here to quickly pinpoint really anything we're curious about finding. The shred will get you into the text line by line, word by word. This kind of view here, this is more of a high level, show me where. So I have a lot of users that use this. If I'm looking at purchase orders, I need to feed an ERP or an MRP system, but I don't want to go through 50 purchase orders one at a time, control finding. But I know I need to find first article inspection requirements. Let's drop it into a dictionary. And I see all 3 purchase orders mention first article. All 3 mention some kind of AS system, whether it's AS 1933 or AS 9115 here. I didn't even need to know to search those specific ones because my wildcard here did the heavy lifting. More to come there in a moment. Wait, there's more. So I'm in a different folder, different documents, different dictionary. Not enough of my users use dictionaries with symbols. Show me, percentage signs. Greater than, less than, or forgive me, less than, greater than. Looking for units of measure, megahertz, kilohertz, gigahertz. And I'm not an electrical engineer, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. The other thing I want the group to see is we are updating this wildcard feature. Show me any digit followed by the inches, dimensions, right? .1 diagonal, good stuff. Show me these units of measure, where I don't necessarily want to be searching for discrete numerals, but by dropping a search term in for the unit of measure, I'm starting to see all kinds of good technical information here. 8.33 kilohertz spacing, good stuff. But what I want the group to see is we can also now search for patterns. I was working with a user the other day who said, Kyle, I'm being tasked with looking across old contracts, looking for personal identifying information, PII, email addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth. Yeah, how would you search for a phone number? Now you can drop into VisibleThread, show me anything with 3 digits, dash, 3 digits, dash, 4 digits. So let's actually take a look at that. So you don't need to specify discrete phone numbers because that would be crazy. But now you can tell VisibleThread, look for this pattern. And now I'm seeing all of these phone numbers right off the bat. That before would have been very difficult to search for. Same thing with email addresses. Search anything for the @ sign. Cool. So now we're getting phone numbers and email addresses, or even @ signs. So this wildcard, I want the group to keep this in mind. This is new functionality. We're also seeing case sensitivity. Up until 6.0, you didn't have the ability to make a search term case sensitive. Now you do. Really powerful. Looking for date of birth is a great example. Now, there were no date of birth hits in these documents, so it's grayed out, but I only want something DOB, all caps. If I didn't make that case sensitive, we would also find Doberman, lowercase, Dobby. I'm running out of words that begin with DOB, but the group should be getting the point. Okay. And same idea, we can still shred all these just like you're used to. By the way, you don't need to select these themes to shred them. If you want the quick kind of highlights here, you can do that. But if I go to shred here and do a simple shred, once you can, shred multiple docs at once if you'd like, or less. And then here, if you're going to do all content, it's going to show you all your hits. Don't worry. In the interest of time, I won't do that. I want the group to be just familiar with that ability. Last thing I'll show you It's for anyone who deals with the FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulation, DFARs for DoD work. I know not everyone deals with that, but for the people that do, it's always a big deal, and rightfully so. This is just another good example of multiple category dictionaries with color coding. What DFARs are in my high risk bucket? Those are red. What are ones that we might necessarily, we might comply with them, but each effort we need to review them, right? Those get that yellow kind of tangerine color. Green, no review needed. Let's see this shred again. And you'll note I'm not selecting anything here, but the point is I have the dictionary applied. I'm just going to shred it. I just want the group to see this color coding in action again, as well as that category shred. Those categories are lined up along the top, and you get those nice X's. So I can say, you know what? I just really want to focus on my non-compliance for right now. We can drop in a filter. Get me straight into the action. Filtering out the blanks. Perfect. It's in red. We've flagged it. We've found it. There's the title. There's the date. And I also dropped in a term description. What happens when I come across it? Boom. That's handy. Now maybe we also want to bring in, maybe you want to filter out, for instance, your no reviews needed. Good stuff. We're seeing all these greens. Sweet. Okay. So let's talk about kind of dictionary creation and editing. But like I said, it's important before we start creating dictionaries, I want people to see them in action. So I'm going to go back into my dictionaries library here. And I have a ton of dictionaries, so bear with me while I scroll. Oh, and by the way, we're seeing unknown here. You guys will see email addresses like this for your user who's creating them. That unknown is because I did a mass upload kind of as the upgrade was going through. So it's technically unknown. You guys are going to see names just like this as you're creating them. Don't worry. But let's get into an actual dictionary. So for those who have created and edited dictionaries in VisibleThread before, you'll remember, we had to kind of go up to the top of the screen a lot. Click new term, click new category. We still have those options here, but now this is kind of more in line and it's more Excel-like. So for those who like to tab and never use their mouse, we could type in here, decimal, I'm just on a unit of measure kick right now. Tab, 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 new term. Maybe I'm going to go with, oh gosh, I'm running out of units of measure, ounces, for instance. Or if you want to click, we're just going right here, new term. Instead of having to jump up and keep kind of going back and forth like this. You'll also see that ability to make search terms case sensitive. You've got the option. And then that color coding. You can make one search term color coded. Excuse me. You can make entire categories color coded, as the case may be. And there's actually a pretty diverse range of colors. And if you're really kind of an impressionist artist, if you know certain color codes, you can drop those in here too, believe it or not. I'm not that good with my color wheel. Cool. Now, let's talk about this wild card. This is what I'm really, really, really excited about, and you should be too. Let's start with the phone number example. That's a good one. So, or you know what? Let me start a new one from scratch, just so you guys can see what it would look like. I'm going to add a new term. And in this case, I know I'm looking for a wild card, and we're just going to use the phone number example as an easy one. You can type it in and then go over to wildcard, or you can start right here. New line. I'm going to toggle wildcard on, and I get this cool toolbar that pops over. We're explaining to you what wildcards are. This is where the search term is going to go. We have our options here for color and case sensitivity. I'm going to deselect case sensitivity for now. And let's say, yeah, I'm looking for phone numbers. You have this shortcut down here that's telling you what all these wildcard characters do and how they would work. And I'm going to say, yeah, a phone number is 3 digits, pound, 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 dash, 3 more digits, dash, 4 digits. And then VisibleThread will even preview for you what that would look like, which is very, very handy. And then this description's optional. When I was mentioning earlier that guidance, what happens when we come across certain keywords, you could drop that in here, right here. Only accept. That would be for an indemnity one, but you can leave it blank. You don't have to have a description. Maybe if we're looking for phone numbers. That can go into the description. And there we go. There's our search term ready to go. Now, some of you are probably seeing this regex mode. This is a conversation for another day because frankly, I'm even educating myself with it's called regular expressions. Regex is the abbreviation. You can get even more kind of crazy with regex using more mathematical syntax. Once again, just for more pattern matching. Great example here would be date ranges. I'm looking for 2 digits followed by a slash, 2 digits followed by, more digits. You could do that with the wildcard, but this could make it a bit more specific in terms of, is it day, month, year? Is it month, day, year? So regular expressions, those are not for the faint of heart. If anyone has any questions on those, shout, and we'll have maybe a follow-up conversation. But the point is, you've got the ability to. Product's always getting better. Super excited there. Maybe just a couple of other wildcard examples to think about. Once again, maybe getting more into syntax. Phone numbers. I think you guys have probably gotten down. But this, this is a good example of E $LL. We're going to find ball, bell, bill, bowl, so on and so forth. Cool. Now, let's go back to, once again, I just really want to make this clear for the group about how much horsepower you have here. Let's go back to my FAR DFARS dictionary. And let's say, Kyle, great dictionary. We've got all these FAR clauses, specific ones that are categorized. Cool, man. But what if I don't know the categorization? Or maybe I just want to find FAR clauses. Show me all of them in a document. I don't need to know the specifics. I don't want to put in specific clauses. How could I go about doing that? Well, I want the group thinking wildcards, wildcards, wildcards. I'm going to create a new category. I'm just going to call it catch-all, right? I'm just catching all my FARs. I don't have a specific action required. So, new category, new term. Let's do it. For those who are in the know, every single FAR begins with 5-2. 5-2 period. So, it's going to be 5-2 period, followed by 3 digits, followed by 1 digit. And I'm going to call this our catch-all. Now, there are instances where FAR clauses have 2 kind of trailing digits. So we just do it again. 3 digits followed by 2 digits. Perfect. Finally, for DFARS, and I'm just showing off now, 252 period. Go to my wild card. DFARS are more consistent. It's always 3 digits followed by 4 digits. Perfect. I'm just going to call it DFARS catch-all. Cool. Now I'm going to make kind of a significant edit here. And you're probably going to think, Kyle, you're a wild man. I'm going to delete everything else. I'm deleting this category. I'm deleting this category. I'm deleting this category. And I'm deleting this category. That's all I have. I'm going to save. Cool. Let's actually utilize that used in shortcut to go straight there. VisibleThread's going to say, whoa, we need to refresh this because I made so many changes to my dictionary. That's fine. I'm going to refresh. Oh, and whoops, I left my mandatory category in there by mistake. But I'm not specifying any specific FAR clause. But because I put in this pattern matching, VisibleThread is picking them all up. So one, please do categorize, call out specifics if you have specific ones in mind. But the point is you don't need that level of detail because of this pattern matching ability now, which is super exciting. And before with VisibleThread, you could just do, show me anything beginning with 5.2. Show me anything beginning with 2.5.2. Which 90% of the time gave you a FAR clause. But it might also give you page 52. It might give you $52,000. This is just showing us that alphanumeric code. Okay, so I'm going to take just a quick pause there. I love a good dictionary. In the interest of time, let me take a step back here, and let's look at some questions. So from Mark, are these dictionaries external Excel files? Is there a tutorial on VT University on creating custom Excel files to use as dictionaries? So yeah, a couple of questions there. Quick, easy answers, Mark. Yes, VT University has a dictionary kind of module where we talk about exactly how you can create dictionaries. Let's quickly talk about that Excel statement that you brought up. So let me share my screen. You saw me create and edit dictionaries within VisibleThread. You are well within your rights to keep doing that. However, we can also create and edit dictionaries in CSV files, aka Excel files. So let's just export this existing one. So you guys can see what it looks like. So this is all a dictionary is. My search term, this is what I want VisibleThread to find. That's in column B, one term at a time. Show me time is of the essence. Show me license. Show me copyright. Once again, we can look for symbols too. How cool is that? A, these are those categories I was talking about, buckets. These search terms belong in the high risk bucket. And so we can just copy and paste categories down to our heart's content. C is that description that I was mentioning. It's optional. You can leave things blank, but if we want to include guidance for certain words, you're well within your rights to do that. And then finally, this is new. You don't need to worry about the color. Do the color coding in VisibleThread in terms of these codes. But the wildcard, we can toggle that on and off. And then case sensitivity. False means it's not case sensitivity. True means it is. IP being a great example. IP in terms of intellectual property. Cool. So you can add to this, Mark. You can edit it. You can make changes, and then you can re-upload into VisibleThread. You can also, guys, just create a brand new dictionary from scratch. And I'm just going to call it, my category is requirements, just on the fly, shall, will, whoops, must, ensure, so on and so forth. Each search term needs a category. You don't need to include anything to the right if you don't want to. And then you can save this, and you can either import it here, which would update the existing dictionary, or you can create a brand new dictionary with those Excel files. I like Excel files for big dictionaries. You know, if we're getting into double-digit search terms, dozens of terms, I like to do a lot of that in Excel and just do a mass upload. Good question, Mark. Janelle, if you leave a description blank, will there be no word comment bubble if shredded to Word? Good question. No. Let me show you again. We're still seeing my screen good.
Yeah, sorry, Kyle. Would you just mind adjusting your mic there, if that's okay?
Sure. How are you getting the gist of it, or am I like inaudible?
A bit muffled.
Okay, sorry about that. How am I now? Any better?
Not much. I think if you move around, I think that's might be the issue.
Okay, I'm going to try and be as still as a statue, but for those who know me, I'm a very demonstrative speaker. If it gets like too bad, Aoife, stop me, but I'm just going to keep going here. So Janelle, here we have a description. If you didn't have a description, you would still get the comment bubble. You would still see the search term. This would just be blank, or I think it would even say no description available. That's all it would say, but you're still going to get the comment bubble, don't worry. Good question. Try that. Stacy, you might have been right on the collar. Good eyes there. Is that any better, Aoife?
I think so.
All right. Sorry, guys. Do we need any additional VT plugin for Word to be able to see VT dictionary redline comments you just demonstrated? So Lata, no. So that word output you see within VT Docs, no plugin add-in necessary. We're just using the comment bubble features. What you might be thinking of is we do have a Word plugin for our VT Writer product, but that's a different product, not dictionary based. Good question. As long as you have a dictionary and you've uploaded a Word document into VT Docs, you will get this output here if you download an annotated document. Cool. Bethany, will the highlighted terms remain in their assigned color even if the doc is downloaded to share? Yes. So let's, whoops, that's not what I wanted to click. I'm too fast now. So these colors here, you know, we're in Microsoft Excel. These colors will remain colored unless you make changes. If you say, you know what, actually, I want everything here to be black, that's the only time the color would change. You can save this, you can share it. It's in Microsoft Excel. The colors are there unless you make a change. You'd have to do that consciously. Good question. While we're on the color topic, Mark ran a compliance matrix recently and noticed the keywords are in bold black text. Did they used to be red? Can you change the color? So yes, they used to be red. So VT Docs 5.0 and earlier, all search terms, hits, so to speak, were red. Now the default is black unless you specify a new color. So let's take a look at these guys. So waiver of subrogation, no color. If I were to see that in an output, it would show as black as a default. If I wanted to change the color, you do that right here. And you'd pick one of these options for, once again, and I just pick a different color. And then we can see, you know, you can have multiple search terms with multiple colors in the same category if you're feeling wild. Or you can also just say, you know what, everything in this category is purple. You have that ability to do that as well. Good color questions. Susan, when I log into my VT dashboard, I see VT 5.0. Does this information apply to 5.0 versus 6? So Susan, you're likely deployed on premise So behind your organization's firewall, you're still on 5. We released 6 into our cloud version, which you're seeing on my screen. On-prem deployments, that upgrade file will be available. We are saying March 2024. Would love to get that in sooner, but we're about a month away from this upgrade file being ready to be installed. It's not a big lift, guys. Don't worry if your IT teams ask. So you're about a month away from having this functionality if you're an on-premise kind of behind your firewall customer. So hopefully this is just a good kind of primer preview for what to expect in about a month. Janelle, I would like a little more time to see the category shred pop up. Sure. Good call out there. So let me kind of work backwards here. Remember, the category shred is all about a dictionary with multiple categories. So I have told VisibleThread I have a corporate compliance category. Let me zoom in a bit for you guys. A corporate compliance category, a high risk category, an IP data rights category, and a workshare category. I've told VisibleThread indemnity, that belongs to the high risk category. And so the category shred is the same as your simple shred in terms of columns A through G here. That's perfectly consistent with the simple shred or the compliance matrix shred. That's no different. The only change with the category shred are these columns here, and you get this kind of cross-referenced X. I like the category shred a lot. It just helps me visualize and kind of break out paragraphs. And this is more of a compliance example, but I've seen some really cool category dictionaries with like functional ownership groups. I'd have an engineering category. I'd have a program management category. I'd have a subcontracts category. You know, my programs team, they care about scope, schedule, CDRs, SDRs, design reviews, phase reviews, change orders. You know, engineering, caring about tolerance, limits, plus signs, percentage signs. And then you can really start to slice and dice documents and really kind of have some fun filtering. So once again, what does this look like? So this is the output. What does it look like within VisibleThread? And then once again, just reminding the group, it's very filterable. Maybe I only want to see my corporate compliance hits. I can do that. Maybe I only want to see my IP data rights hits. You can do that. But let's remind ourselves what this looks like in VisibleThread. And then which, we'll just use this. So this is a dictionary with 3 categories: export, security, quality. So if I shredded this to a category shred, you would see an export, a security, and a quality column. And why don't we do that? Just for good measure. Category shred here. Category, category, category. I'll just shred all 3. That's fine. Am I doing any better on audio, Aoife? I'm still a little self-conscious about that.
I think this is better, yeah.
Okay, good. So here, guys, different document, different dictionary, but it's the same format, the same structure. It's just I have my export, security, quality categories. And I've told VisibleThread first article belongs to quality. And oh, by the way, I also want it to be green. But this should look very familiar to anyone who's done shred. You know, there's AS 9100 or 9001, excuse me. But I didn't even need to specify 9001. It's that wildcard in action again. Show me all caps ISO followed by 4 digits. Heck yeah. And that's a killer shall statement, isn't it? Cool. So, a lot of horsepower with these category shreds. We want good dictionaries with strong categories. Let me show you one last example, and I'll pause. Here we go. Now, this is a healthcare dictionary, so bear with me. but it's a killer example of a post-award kind of requirement shred, but there's all kinds of good categories. But it's by delivery area, right? My call center team, my behavioral health team, my dental team. And they care about different keywords and requirements, don't they? Care management cares about assessments, care management, care coordinator. Now, this document isn't a healthcare document, so we're not going to see too many hits, but the point still stands. You know, what does behavioral health care about? Mental, therapy, bipolar. Dental is obviously pretty easy too. They care about dental, periodontal, dentist, oral. It's a great category shred. And so if we were to shred this, you would get all these categories lined up to the right, and we can slice and dice and filter. A lot of my program teams do this, kind of my execution delivery teams. We can do this pre and post award. Final thing to think about, and I'll pause again. I think with some people who haven't created a dictionary before, sometimes people can be, I don't want to say daunted, but I'll say it, maybe a bit daunted by the idea. I want people not to be daunted. You know what keeps you up at night. You don't need a 300-term search dictionary. I'd be delighted if you did. You can add to it over time. They age like fine wine. And then the other thing to think about is you can also outsource this. You know, go out to your program team. Go out to your SMEs, your contracts, your legal team. Hey guys, what keeps you up at night? What are you always looking for in RFPs and contracts and statements of work? Do you have policy statements, playbooks? I had a contracts playbook that fed my dictionary. We had a whole section on indemnities. We had a whole section on warranties. So warranty and indemnity was my search term. And then the guidance, my positions on the matter, which was already available to me in Excel, I just put it in that description column. So hopefully that's inspiring people to take action and get some of these dictionaries together. My best user groups do that. Good. Cool. Janelle, has anything changed with how VT will shred a word table? Or word table rows still split into Excels? Yes, big change. And this is available right now, VT Docs 5.0. Let me find a document with a table in it. Am I sharing my screen, Aoife? I might have unshared the...
Not, no. And you might just readjust your mic there. That's all right.
Continental soldier.
It's much worse.
Okay, great. Okay, there's not a table in this example. Let me just find... Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so while that runs, I think I found a good example for you, Janelle. I think we've done well on questions here. Yes, I'm in a fight with Logitech. I'll invest in a more expensive head. Well, I think this has gotten a lot of miles out of it. I think it might just be on its last legs. Next month we won't have the same issue, but let me just speak to this while I finish my hunt here. So bottom line, if you have a Word document, a PDF, or excuse me, an RFP, a SAO, I want it to be a Word version and it has tables in it. You upload that Word doc with tables into VisibleThread and you shred it. We will recreate the table in Excel beautifully. And as long as you're seeing 5.0 in the top left corner, you have that ability right now. You don't get that functionality with PDF documents. Why is that? It's because of the way PDFs and Word docs are inherently structured. With Word docs, tables have formatting, columns, discrete things that VisibleThread can latch onto. A PDF is more of, really an image. So here we go. So let me share my screen. So we should be seeing VisibleThread. This is for a public kind of Indian airport tender, and the document is full of tables. But we're recreating it beautifully in the output. But we'll note it's a Word doc, a .docx. Oops. So keep that in mind. But yes, we can do it now. It's great. That was released this past year, that update. Cool. Good stuff. Yes, I love it. I'm glad you guys love it. It's about as beautiful as an Excel output can be. Hang it in the Louvre. I'm the next Rembrandt. So let me actually pause there. The group has been very generous with their time. Any other parting shots, questions, comments, Aoife? If not, I'll hand the baton off to you. Thank you guys for your patience with the audio. I do apologize. That will be better next time. Hope you at least got the gist of it. All good, Aoife. Over to you.
Great, thanks, Kyle. I think we have one poll question of these examples. Which of these examples is the most interesting to you? I know Kyle showed quite a bit there. If you want to take a look at those, the enhancements to the dictionary interface is brilliant. Definitely worth the work that was put in the release, and the unified concept tracking and quality analysis. That's another great thing to have combined at the moment. Give me another few minutes.
What's our next webinar, Aoife? Now I'm desperately curious.
It will be Optimize. We have Optimize at the end of February.
Come to that.
And
that's a great event, guys.
Exactly. It's not to be missed, really. It's set to be really, really good for those looking to stay ahead in the evolving world that is AI. So really worth signing up to it. A free event. Great speakers. Will be brilliant. Okay, fantastic. With some results in there. Dictionary search cool. Coming in. Yeah. Brilliant. So as always, we have, as you can see from Kyle, we have an excellent customer success team on hand to answer any questions that you may have. So don't hesitate to reach out to them if you need any support. And like I mentioned, we have Optimize coming up at the end of February. So thank you very much. As a reminder, we will send out the slides and the recording after. And as always, thank you for attending and participating. And we look forward to seeing you at Optimize. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.